Hello, my friends. It's Miss Maria from Kennebunk Free Library. I'm here today to read you the last 2 chapters of the book we've been reading, Annabelle the Drawing Fairy, which is part of the Magical Crafts Fairies series, and that's part of Rainbow Magic. This book was written by Daisy Meadows and published by Scholastic. Last time, we read chapters 3 and 4. And in those chapters, Rachel and Kirsty met Annabelle the Drawing Fairy. She told them that Jack Frost and his goblins had stolen her magical pencil sharpener, and that made it hard for people to draw on Rainspell Island and in Fairyland. The girls learned that one of the goblins found it, and they asked him to draw their picture so they could get up close to him and try to get the pencil sharpener back. Where we left off, the girls had just asked the goblin to draw their picture. Let's see what happens next. Chapter 5 is called Living Drawings. Here's the picture at the beginning of the goblin and Rachel and Kirsty. Let's see what happens. The goblin artist puffed out his chest with pride. "I can draw anything," he said. "Drawing you two will be a piece of cake." He flipped his drawing pad to a new page and turned the easel so he was facing the girls. They posed arm in arm while the goblin's pencil flew across the paper. After just a few moments, the goblin signed his picture with a flourish and turned it around to show the girls. Rachel and Kirsty gasped. They knew it was the magic of the pencil sharpener, but the picture was astonishingly good. It was almost like looking in a mirror. "You must be a great artist," said Rachel. "I wish I could draw like that. Would you teach us how to draw?" "We could practice by drawing you," Kirsty suggested. "You have such an interesting face." "I bet lots of artists want to paint you," Rachel added. "You're so rugged and, handsome." The goblin strutted back and forth in front of them and then struck a pose, standing with one foot up on a big rock. Here he is posing for his picture. "Sure, draw me," he said. "Try to capture my good looks and charm." Kirsty pulled out a pencil and secretly broke off the point. Then she held it up. "Oh no, my pencil's broken," she said. Rachel quickly broke off the tip of her pencil too. "Mine too," she said with a groan, "and I don't have a pencil sharpener." "Neither do I," said Kirsty, digging through her pencil case. The goblin looked annoyed. He had been so excited about having his picture drawn. "Hurry up," he snarled. "Get on with it." "Do you have a pencil sharpener we could use?" Kirsty asked. "If we can't find one, we won't be able to draw you." The goblin gazed at them, and the girls felt their hearts pounding. Would their plan work? Had they fooled the goblin? "Don't you have other pencils you can use?" asked the goblin. Rachel and Kirsty exchanged glances. He sounded very suspicious. And they couldn't lie. They had pencil cases full of other pencils. What could they say? The goblin took a step closer toward them, and his face crumpled into a sneer. "I know you," he cried. "I never forget a face. You were with that horrible fairy earlier." He stuck out his tongue and then ran away from them as quickly as he could. Here are Rachel and Kirsty looking in their pencil case, and the goblin figuring things out. "Annabelle, we need some drawings of hedges, quickly," cried Rachel. She had a plan. Annabelle zoomed into the air and flicked her wand. A life-size drawing of a hedge dropped down in front of the goblin. He turned the other way, and another hedge drawing dropped in front of them. He thought the hedges were real. Believing that his path was blocked, he let out a loud wail. "I'm trapped," he yelled. "Let me out. I don't like this maze anymore." Here's the goblin. See the drawing of the hedge in front of him? "Give Annabelle's magic pencil sharpener back," called Kirsty from the center of the maze. "Then we'll let you out." "No way," the goblin shouted. "Jack Frost told me to keep it away from you pesky fairies." "Then you'll just have to stay in the maze," said Kirsty. "I don't like it," the goblin whined. "I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I want to go to the bathroom." "All you have to do is give Annabelle's magic pencil sharpener back," said Rachel. "It doesn't belong to you." High above them, Annabelle gave a cry of excitement. "He's opening his pencil case," she called out. That's the end of chapter 5. Here's chapter 6, the last chapter. Vivid Imaginations. Let's see what happens. Peeking around the edge of the paper hedge, Rachel and Kirsty saw the goblin pull a shimmering silver pencil sharpener out of his pencil case. He squinted angrily up at Annabelle. "Here, come and take it," he said, annoyed. "But I hope it doesn't work for you. You rotten fairies ruin everything." Annabelle fluttered down and took the pencil sharpener from the goblin's bony hand. It immediately shrank to fairy size, and the magic hedge drawings vanished in a puff of fairy glitter. Rachel and Kirsty hugged each other in delight, and Annabelle gave a little twirl in midair. Here she is giving a little twirl. The goblin shuffled back to the picture of the gnome that he had been drawing. He picked up his pencil and tried to finish, but his lines were all squiggly. The gnome in his picture started to look skinny and bony. The other goblins appeared from inside the maze and walked up behind him. They didn't notice Kirsty and Rachel standing off to the side. "That's a terrible picture," said one of the goblins scornfully. "What do you know about drawing?" snorted the goblin artist. Here's all the goblins watching the one draw. "Much more than you, judging by your drawing," snickered another goblin. "Why are all the pages back in my sketchbook?" asked the third goblin, looking confused. "I crumpled half of them up, and now they're as good as new." "That's because littering is wrong," said Rachel, stepping out of the shadows. "You goblins need to learn to take care of the world around you. When Annabelle got her magic pencil sharpener back, she used her magic to clean up the big mess you made." The other goblins ignored Rachel and spun around to glare at the goblin artist instead. "You fool!" the tall goblin shrieked. "How could you let that fairy get her magic object back? Jack Frost is going to be so angry with us again." "I was stuck," the goblin artist screeched in anger. "We need a plan," said the plumper goblin. "What are we going to tell Jack Frost?" Here they are working on their plan. Do you see Rachel and Kirsty behind them? The goblins all sat down on stones in the rock garden and began to think hard. Rachel and Kirsty couldn't help giggling at the goblins, as Annabelle flew over to them. "Follow me, and I'll lead you through the maze to the exit," she said. Here's the goblins working on their plan some more, sitting on the rocks. Rachel and Kirsty left the goblins, who were still arguing about how to tell Jack Frost the terrible news. The girls kept their eyes on Annabelle, and she guided them all the way to the exit. There she fluttered down beside them, with her magic pencil sharpener clutched in her hand. "I'm not letting this out of my sight," she said with a big smile. "Girls, you've saved drawings all over the world. Thank you so much for helping me. Without you, I'm sure Jack Frost's goblins would still have my pencil sharpener." Here's Annabelle saying thank you to the girls. "We're happy to help," said Rachel. "Hopefully, we can do the same with the other missing objects," Kirsty added. "I'll tell the other magical crafts fairies how wonderful you are," said Annabelle. "Goodbye, and thanks again." As the girls raised their hands to wave goodbye, Annabelle disappeared in a shower of fairy sparkles. "Come on," said Kirsty. "Let's get back to the drawing class." Hand in hand, the girls ran across the bridge to the main part of the garden. Sarah Sketchley was standing in front of the group of kids, holding up a finished picture of a beautiful rose. Here's Sarah's picture. She's sharing it with the children. "Now that you've seen me draw, I want to see what you can do," she was saying. "I'd like you to draw the most beautiful thing you can think of. It can be a person or a place, real or fantasy. Just have fun." Rachel and Kirsty exchanged happy smiles as they rejoined the class. They knew exactly what they were going to draw. They both took out their pencils and sketchbooks. "My pencil is as good as new," whispered Rachel. "Look." "Mine too," said Kirsty, pressing her finger to the sharp point of her pencil. "Thank you, Annabelle." The girls were both concentrating on their drawings when they heard a familiar voice. "Everyone seems to be hard at work here." The girls looked up and saw Artemis Johnson, the organizer of Crafts Week. She was walking towards Sarah Sketchley, with Mr. and Mrs. Walker at her side. "Hello, Artie," said Sarah with a smile. "Yes, everyone's very busy. Let's take a look at how you're all doing." She led Artie and Mr. and Mrs. Walker around the little group. When they reached Rachel and Kirsty, Sarah put a hand on each of their shoulders. "These are very interesting," she said. "You girls are so talented. Kirsty's picture of a magic fairyland is so realistic that I can imagine being there. And Rachel, your fairy is so lifelike that it looks like she could flutter off the paper and cast a spell." Here they are at the drawing class with Sarah. "What vivid imaginations," said Artie. "I can't wait for the exhibition at the end of the week." Mr. and Mrs. Walker beamed with pride. Rachel and Kirsty reached out their hands and linked their pinky fingers in their secret sign of friendship. Kirsty had drawn the Fairyland Palace, which she had visited many times. Rachel had drawn a picture of Annabelle. They didn't have to imagine at all. They were drawing from real life. As the grown-ups moved away, the girls whispered to each other about their very magical morning. "Do you think we'll have another adventure tomorrow?" asked Kirsty. Rachel looked at her best friend and smiled happily. "I'm sure we will," she said. And here are Rachel and Kirsty linking pinky fingers. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story. Towards the end, Rachel and Kirsty are asked to draw what they think is the most beautiful thing in the world. What would you draw? If you want to draw a picture, you can leave us a comment or send us an email. We'd love to see your picture. I'll be back next week to read another book from the Rainbow Magic series. I can't wait to share it with you. Have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.